Since our duty is to work and serve the government from all over the world, build a system that allowed us to live peacefully if we choose to work for almost our entire life. This system is called the economy. The economy of the nation is defined as the wealth and resources of a countries or regions, especially in terms of productions and consumptions of goods and services. The wealth and resources that this definition is talking about are the citizens of the nations. The productions and consumptions of goods and services of the nations are the skills of the people. People will assume that we learn these skills through colleges. However, this is not the entire truth. The truth is that we learn skills through apprenticeship. Just like college, an apprenticeship will take a decent amount of time to earn money. Whether you are a college student or join the workforce right away, you will receive little income until you grow your career into a certain amount of years. This is where one of the biggest mistakes in money management come from: the lack of knowledge of budgeting. What is budgeting? Budgeting is a process of calculating how much money you earn or save during a particular period of time, and of planning how to spend it. Everything in the world has this basic knowledge. Budgeting is a basic knowledge of finance and wealth building. In this world, many people trying to earn more money and to be rich. This is where many of them will look into average salaries. An average salary of $100,000 per year is indeed better than $30,000 per year. However, there is more underneath the iceberg. First and foremost, the more you earn per year, the more you will have to pay taxes in terms of percentage. This means that will be a bigger chunk of your money. The highest percentage in tax bracket is 32%. What does this mean? If you make over $182,100 per year as a paid employee, $58,272 will be taken out. With this being said, what does this have to do with us if we are nowhere near the salaries amount? Well, to me, this means nothing. As a matter of fact, taxes should be the last thing that we should worry about. We should worry about things that we could manage and change, and not the thing that we cannot do anything about. We can manage and change our spending habit, because this is the backbone of budgeting. If a person has poor spending habit and is really bad with money, I learned that it doesn't matter how much they make, they will eventually go in debt and even live paycheck to paycheck. There is a difference between poor, the rich, and the wealthy. The poor, the rich, and the wealthy are the three financial classes to me. When comparing these three classes, the only thing that I will look at right now is the net worth of each person. What is net worth? Net worth is a financial metric that measures the values of individuals or corporations' asset minus their liability. Let's start with the poor. I believe there are three categories of being poor. However, they share the same perspective. This perspective is that they all have a very low income coming in each month. Their income can be so low that they cannot afford their needs. What are the three categories of being poor? The first category of being poor is the people who cannot pay the high living expenses. The second category of being poor is the people who have no safe resources, but they are able to pay for their living expenses. Third category of being poor is the people who both have safe resources and are able to pay for living expenses. First and foremost, first category of being poor. These people are the people who cannot pay their high living expenses. When I am talking about living expenses, I am talking about food, shelters, water, etc. With this being said, I cannot mention these needs without mentioning our modern economy of the United States. Some of the reasons I want to mention this country economy are that, first, I am living in this country right now. I have been living in the state for almost entire life, so I do have a better understanding of this country economy compared to other countries. The reason for this is because of the currency rate of each country compared to the United States. This will be the second reason I will only be mentioning the US economy. The United States is considered the world currency. They are the world's currency because they have contributed way more throughout the world. Therefore, they have the trust of dozens of countries around the world. This being said, what about our living expenses? We cannot talk about living expenses without talking about inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is the increase of prices of goods and services across the economy over time. The inflation rate of the United States is about 3% in 2024. However, it's about 0.8% in 2014. This is about 10 years ago. Today, everybody knows that the annual salary do not change in the same rate as the inflation. This means that it's possible to keep getting poorer the more year you spend working. Now imagine people who do not have a job or a job that give little to no income in the first place. How do we counter this? We need to invest in our futures. This will lead us to the second category of being poor. The second category of being poor is the people who have saved resources but they are able to pay for their living expenses. What is resources? The definitions of resources is a stock or supply of money, material, or staff, and other asset that can be drawn on by a person or organizations in order to function effectively. With those definitions, resources can be defined as asset. Unlike the last category of poorness, this category is for the people who is making more money. Meanwhile, they're keeping up or even exceeding inflation. There is one issue to be considered. The category of being poor is talking about the people who do not want to save resources throughout the working year. When I'm talking about resources, I'm talking about money, the tangible currency of modern time. In the past year, I have encountered stories and experiences that talk about how people spend all their post-taxes and expenses income for random purchases. Many of these purchases are desires and liability. It is never a good thing in the long run. Why is this the case, and what is desire and liability? Desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. This definition in terms of money is the feeling of wanting to buy something really bad. What is this something that I am talking about? As a starter, this something is house and cars. Many people who make a decent income will desire luxury, cars and houses. However, this is the only basic desire purchases. It can get really in debt. Cars and house are called big ticket items. There are other big ticket items that are widespread and available to purchase. Some examples of these items are clothing and even food. There is two reasons why we as a human being want to purchase big ticket items. The first reason is that we want to improve the qualities of our life. The second reason is that we want to show off. I think that we do not have to buy big ticket items to improve our life because there are other less expensive big ticket items that might not be luxurious. However, they are really valuable. It is logical to think that going past these valuable, less expensive purchases are simply the opportunity to show off to other people. Luxury items are a great thing to purchase if we are at a level of financial literacy. These people who are at this level have gained enough resources to finally be able to purchase a mansion or a Lamborghini. However, they have waited years or even decades to be able to purchase this item for tax write-off purposes only. The reason why I mention this is because these people do not prioritize buying luxury items in the first place. They prioritize building and gaining assets over liability. Why did I mention these people? I mentioned these people because if they waited this long to buy luxury items only for tax purposes, people who have little to no resources and assets should not buy these luxury items. The only way they could buy these luxury items is through debts. The last category of being poor is the people who both have saved resources and are able to pay for living expenses. With these categories being mentioned, it's reasonable to say that these two last categories of being poor will depend on their mindset. The mindset of savings and investing for the future. There's a saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, the second best time is now. With this proverb, the simple answer is to just start investing now, right? Yes, but there is much more to learn. Much more knowledge to consume to just be an average investor. The first thing that we have to master is budgeting. We want to save, we have to know how to spend and manage our expenses. For this category of poorness, if they already have some money left over after their expenses, this is not the problem for them. Next thing that they have to worry about is that they have to be patient. Little to no income is in the first place, but still having money to save up with all these inflation expenses, it would be a journey to remember for sure. This is why we need to be patient and have faith that they will have a better life in the future. To increase their incomes, there are only two ways. These two ways are to find a better pay salaries or increase their cash flow. Let's start with finding a better pay salary. If the individual's current jobs is not paying well, they will have to ask for a pay increase or change their jobs. The thing is that they have no value to give. They will end up being stuck searching for the same range of salaries amount. What is values? I define values in the job market as a learned skills. These learned skills can be both hard and soft skills. Hard skills are specialized careers. This should be the next step for increasing one's income. Whether it is the white or blue collar jobs, they need skills individuals to keep the business and the organizations going. How do we attain these skills? We need to learn it from somewhere. I believe that it is not about where you learn it from, but how you learn it that matters the most. What do I mean by this? As a money management practitioner, I have learned that debts will be one of the worst decisions that one can make in their life. So taking on a 6-figure debt for a college degree might seem to be one of the worst decisions to make if that the individual is not ready for. Best case scenarios for people taking on that much debts are the doctors. Doctors are of the most hardworking and smartest people in the world. Therefore, the salaries are well deserved. Their jobs are also secure through their internship and as a residency. Just feel well with the idea that it's not about where you learn it from, but how you learn it matter the most. If they are passionate, doctors have unfixed set routes for them to take. Although it might be a long journey and 6-figure to 7 figures in student loans, they can afford to be well off after taxes and expenses if they manage their money wisely. The worst case scenario is that students who are willing to pay around 6-figure in student loans hope they will be well off after college. The thing is that the major that these students choose could be useless in the job market, or they are not competitive enough while they're still in college. College is really competitive, especially in an expensive school that is really hard. It's about what you make of it.